Ultimate Sonic Issue 2. Now for the second issue, where we see that even on the cover, Tails has eyelashes for no reason. If you're supposed to be a girl in this alternate universe, then tell us that from the start. Have him be called a she. If I'm not getting that obvious confirmation, I won't call him a she. At least the overalls make sense as a design change since he's an engineer, but it's so pointless to change the design, not to mention the gender. The second issue, which has inferior art somehow, has Sonic confusingly turned down working for Gun and say he's not getting jerked around by Gun a second time. And somehow Tails didn't already know about the first time despite being his best friend who literally lives with him. At least it's nice to see a mystery with Sonic's past. It's revealed that Mighty and Ray have been working for Gun as they salute the commander. And Ray tells Sonic that Gun's changed a lot since Sonic left. He left? And what's with all the darkness around Mighty's face? Like, is he wearing a black mask? I definitely prefer how Ray was in Archie. He's got no charm here. Sonic says he's not quick to forgive. The games in Sonic X would dispute that, but it would make sense for Archie Sonic. Later Archie Sonic, because he was very quick to forgive in issue 40. Ray tells Sonic that all he's asking is for Sonic to work with him and Mighty, not with Gun in particular. The commander says that he needs Sonic's help against the Badnik army, and he's offering to hire Wing Welker Inc. There's an Inc? I thought Tails just had a little workshop. And Tails says that now they won't have to worry about money anymore. Why didn't Gun just give them this kind of reward money to start with? What, were they cheap? Tails is naturally thrilled, but Sonic says he's used to doing things his way. This makes sense as an objection for Sonic, though. He's a rebellious free spirit. But so many pages are being wasted on Mighty having to convince Sonic to go fight Eggman with his old buddies that the pacing is way too slow. Mighty tells Sonic that the agency isn't being favored much by those higher up in Gun, as their failure on Eggman Island. You mean Eggman Land? He can't keep his story straight for 2 seconds. Though it does make more sense to be an isolated island, so it's harder to get at. At first I assumed Eggman Island was a separate thing entirely from Eggman Land. And I guess it is. Their failure on the island nearly ended the whole department years ago. What, really? They'd end the whole department? Which they need to fight Eggman just because of one failure? That's immature and petty. Mighty says that to appease them, they apparently needed to use Sonic as a scapegoat, because he doesn't follow orders and is immature and gives the commander a hard time. But the reason that Sonic following most of Sally's orders makes sense, despite this, is because she's his actual friend. No wonder he'd be reluctant to follow the orders of people he just met, even if they were commander. I guess the writer is going to be too lazy to explain how the failure on Eggman Island happened and what it was about, right? Mighty says that to make things easier, they want to hire Sonic as an outside agent to bypass the red tape. Mighty finally reminds Sonic of the very obvious reasons for why he should want to help his old friends that I pointed out earlier. I love that Mighty said there were pretty ladies in the department, giving Sonic the cool Casanova side I'd expect out of a cool person. Sonic finally agrees, 6 pages late, and after a helicopter ride and a canoe ride, they're greeted by someone in the shadows who calls Tails Miss. Okay, so fine, he's a girl in this alternate universe. I wish they had just told me that from the start. At least this is unique, but just like the Land of the Sky setting, it's just a pointless change. The story seems like it'd be no different without it. Sonic's lucky Tails isn't a girl normally, because it would just risk things getting weird later. Because there's no way Tails wouldn't have ended up with a crush on him like Amy. And that just make him want to distance himself. So the friendship would be on shakier foundation if Sonic didn't return the feelings. And aside from Tails giving him a thumbs up one time, their chemistry sucks in this comic. All Tails does is tease him, so he wouldn't return the feelings. They should have drawn Tails with long hair or a ponytail if they wanted me to instantly know that he's a girl here, instead it's just confusing. At that point, you should have just had Fiona instead, which I wondered if they were using when I first saw the eyelashes. That way she'd be used more, and her engineer side would be properly used, and she'd have a unique dynamic with Sonic where she's his only friend. Instead, it's Tails because video games. Anyways, it turns out the people of the agents' headquarters include Bark, Bean, and Rouge. That's more creative than just having the Freedom Fighters, or Amy and Knuckles. And again, his fascination with Bark and Bean in his fan comics does make sense for the time, because they were never in the comics or TV shows until he put them in Archie. I don't know what Sega had against them. They had Fang be in the comics no problem. I don't like that the commander says somehow Bean can create explosives instead of just telling you that he has magic, which Other M did just fine. And we're just told that he's an interesting fellow instead of seeing his personality right away. What book is he reading? Don't know. So much for adding character. Bark was found up north, and he's stronger than Mighty apparently. It would have been interesting if they said he was found so up north that he was found at the North Pole. But nope. It turns out the squirrel really is Sally, and we're told that her expertise is tactical, and both her and Rouge are computer geniuses in this comic. I hope we'll get to see that. It's good to see them with a new talent, but it's still redundant to have a genius character when Tails exists. After we see that the two of them are playing chess, Bean's told that he's holding the book upside down, and he delusionally says, "That's what the hamsters in the committee want you to believe." So he sticks the badger early. How did he get hired again? Oh right, they think his explosive magic makes his insanity worth it. But it's impossible for me to understand him here. Is he hallucinating? Who would do this? So it's forced comedy. Naturally, Sally tells Sonic that most of the agents just ignore Bean after his unfunny dialogue, and they fortunately do know Sonic already. Then Mighty reveals that they're going back to Eggman Island. Tails finally gets told about the mission that made Sonic quit gun. Mighty says that their mission was about a simple hit and run against one of Eggman's power stations, and Ray's job was to help out air support and scouting. Mighty was going to knock things down, and Sonic would get them in quickly, place the explosives, and get them out just as fast. So why couldn't Sonic just do everything himself? Spin dash to knock stuff down. Why is Ray needed? We see them parachute in, Mighty uses his super strength, and even after they got in, it was all too easy. But obviously things have to have gone wrong. Sonic looks horrible here, by the way. How far we've come in terms of how fan comics look normally. And some people still have the gall to say the STC Online looks bad. I'd gladly take a consistent, good art style for most fan comics over this. But somehow that's just seemed generic, which just seems spoiled when I look at how fan comics used to look. Who cares if it's how DeviantArt comics tend to look? Eggman wastes an entire page generically taunting them over the intercom in a dark room, and tells them to look down the hall. Sonic doesn't do what he's told at first, thinking it's just a look behind you trick. Mighty tells him to look, with another entire page being wasted because he wouldn't look right away for no reason. And sadly, I'll never get to know what he was warning Sonic about, because for some reason, probably a glitch, the 20th page is just a repeat. How does that happen? How does it not get immediately noticed and solved? I'm guessing it was just a mecha of Eggman threatening them, like the Death Egg robot. But I refuse to believe Sonic and Mighty couldn't have handled it. This issue doesn't make Flynn look like a good writer. Sure, it's engaging to see the mystery behind Sonic's history with Gun get solved, but it's very dumb that it's like, no, he hates Gun and had a bad experience working for them. So let's waste several pages on him taking forever to agree to fight Eggman with his old buddies. And then waste even more pages on him slowly meeting his new friends. We barely get to see Rouge and Sally's unique genius side. We're lucky we even saw them play chess. And Bean is crazy like an Archie, but he's not funny in the slightest. More like he's the realistic kind of delusional that just makes you uncomfortable. Of course, the monochrome white art is a huge problem that makes it twice as hard to get invested in the story and get what's even going on. But the text was doing a decent job of distracting me, keeping me engaged with this mystery going on. But ultimately, the big problem with the story is that its pacing is so slow that no action actually gets to happen. He wastes so much time setting up, and already the comic's over. The entire second issue was wasted. All because he added some pointless drama with Sonic and Gun that made the tone depressing and the pacing too slow. Just like with the Mecha Sally arc in Other M. The pacing is so slow that he never actually gets to the epic climax he was building up to, because he couldn't just immediately get to the point. It was engaging, I'm glad it wasn't pointless like 3B, and instead it's a comic I took seriously thanks to the tone. But while it built up to an engaging story arc, it fell flat, like I expected since it just had 2 issues.